There we go. And oh, Rochelle, you're being recorded. Are you okay with that?
Oh, hi.
I worked with her at Timberland last year. Yeah, last year. Holy smokes. World's getting smaller and smaller, Professor.
It is a small world. Okay. So I'm Dan Gordon, Dr. Dan Gordon, and I am the professor of record, teacher of record for sections, this capstone sections 80 and 81. Zach, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
I'm Zach Akagi. I am the instructional associate for 81, I believe. And I currently serve as a district administrator with the Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools.
Thank you. Thank you. And what that means, that I am the teacher of record, which means that eventually I'm the person that officially enters grades into CapPAWS at the end of this. But Zach will grade and provide formative feedback for sections 81.
Okay.
And he's gone through all the same trainings I have also. So, and then you know, I stay really in touch with both sections because eventually it comes down to my responsibility to enter the grades. Yeah, Dr. Kiene, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm David Kiene and I coordinate the leadership program, and I'm here tonight just to talk briefly about graduation requirements, steps to go for graduation, and steps for certification. So I'll be talking about that in a little bit.
Okay. Okay. So this I hope if I don't see anybody here that I've had in another class before, but in I teach managerial school leadership a lot, and I know that when I teach that, I make a big deal out of this capstone assessment because it's much easier. In fact, Zach and I were talking about it the other day, that it's so much easier to grade this capstone assessment when people have been working on it over the months and weeks of their master's program. This course, this capstone course, is I have kept paring it down to where there are some things in it other than this assessment, but not a lot. So, and you'll see at the moment, the first module is opened. The rest of them are not published yet because I like to get the course going a little bit. In about a week, I'll have most of the rest of them open. So essentially in this class, there's some summative reflections, and there's some general principleship concepts that we'll have, but primarily the biggest rock in this course is submitting your capstone assessment, which serves as and it's all in the writing of this. It serves as the end of program assessment, but it also is an assessment for certification with Missouri's Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. So, you know, so it serves two purposes. You may see in there where it's called the MPEA assessment. DESE has, and I think this is something that they did well, that they have turned over this assessment to the Missouri Professors of Educational Administration. And Dr. Kiene and I are members of that. Dr. Kiene is going to be the president of that next year. And so he's just a grand poobah of the MPEA. And so what it means, the MPEA is people, you know, old fogies like David and I who have been school leaders, have been principals. And DESE, it used to be that you all would have to pay to complete an assessment created by Pearson or somebody like that. Bluntly, back in '89, when I was doing this, they had what they called a performance seminar where I went to Jeff City for 2 days, and it was called the Assessment Center, and had all these things I had to do, and it cost me $500. It was awful, awful. And so, so what you all will do, I do tell people that this DESE considers this an assessment, but Zach and I, when we work you all through this course, you will submit step 1, and you'll get feedback from Zach and I. And if you're good to go, we'll let you know you're good to go. If you're missing something, missing the boat, whatever, we'll give you some pointers and take off a pound of flesh and give it back to you and have you redo it. So it's more of in my opinion, more of a portfolio than it is a true assessment. So that's the concept. Each module, you will have almost at least 5 of the modules. You will have a place where you submit part of the performance assessment, one of the steps, and have it graded. Because really, if you're missing the boat on step 1 and 2, the rest of it doesn't flow well. So that's the thinking there. And so the points and the feedback you will receive on each of the 4 steps are really designed around getting points in this class. And then at the end of the 7 weeks, you will take the whole thing when you got the way you want it to be, and you'll save the whole thing in one long document, all your attachments, all your tables, all your everything. You'll get it all in one file, save it as a PDF, and then you'll submit it again. And then that score you will receive is based on 1 through 16, which is how we have to give the numbers to DESE. And then when you're ready to pursue, and Dr. Kiene will talk more about this, when you are ready to pursue certification, your assessment will be given to a second reader, a second professor, to provide a score also. Then the scores are tabulated together for your final score. So let's see. I'll pause there and let Dr. Kiene talk a little bit. And let's see.
Dr. Gordon, if you'd make me the host, that would help. Give me a chance to share my screen.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you all. Kind of a small group here. I guess we're recording this. A lot of people will watch the recording. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk just briefly about the performance assessment that Dr. Gordon, that you'll be working on in this class. And then also I'm going to talk about how to apply.
Join the meeting.
Apply for graduation. And then also, most importantly, I'm here to talk about the steps going to getting certified in the state of Missouri. At the end of that, I'm going to answer your questions that you may have. And then I'm going to get off and let you guys talk about your individual. You get a chance to ask some individual questions about your individual projects you'll be doing for this class. So does that sound like a good plan there? Okay, so with that, with this information I'm going to give you, I'll have to say, I do this at the beginning of every Capstone course. We go over specifically questions that you have about certification, questions you have about graduation. And then invariably, I hate to say it, is that then when you guys get to this, well, not you guys, but when people get to the end of this class and they start getting ready for certification, they come back and they ask me questions that have been answered in this in the information I'm giving you right now. So I would ask very nicely to you all that you pay attention to this information, save the recording of this information so that you can refer back to it when you need to, so that we're not going back and rehashing the same information over and over again to students. So That's my nice way of saying that. It's sorry to say that a lot of people just are not paying attention to this information, and then I have to go back over it again with them. So, but hopefully that will not be the case this time, because this is important information that you need to know. I'm sharing my screen right now. Hopefully you can see that. The first thing we're going to talk about is graduation. Okay, so you guys have gotten to the end of your program. Congratulations. This is great. You're probably excited. You're glad to be done with the program. You know, the Capstone class is supposed to be taken last and by itself. In very rare instances, Dr. Gordon, we do have some students who are taking the Capstone out of sequence due to their time frame in their program. It's not ideal, but some students are in that situation. Not very many. I don't know if there are any in this particular group, but that could be the case. But even if that is the case, these steps need to be done in order to apply for graduation. So you all have access in CapPause to your degree audit. This is an example of a degree audit. When you complete your master's degree, this is what you'll see on your degree audit. You'll notice there's a lot of boxes that are checked here. Obviously, you've completed all the 10 courses in our program. But above that, there are some things that I want to talk a little bit about, because if you have some blank, unchecked boxes, this is the reason why you have those unchecked boxes. Everybody in this class should have the writing sample checked. The writing sample was completed in your Visionary School Leadership class. It was the very first assignment you did in that class, counted as your writing sample. So you all should have this box checked. If you don't have this box checked, it means that for some reason in the Visionary School Leadership class, you did not complete the interview with your principal to go over the vision and mission statement in your school or district. So I would assume everybody here has that box checked on their degree audit. Then once your entire degree audit is complete, then yes, this next box will be checked. So most likely right now, your degree audit's not complete because you still haven't completed everything in the program at this time. So that box should be unchecked. Most likely this box is checked, admitted to candidacy. This is kind of complicated. The idea of this is once you reach a certain amount of hours in your program, you're basically admitted to candidacy. So this box should be checked for you all, that you have reached a certain amount of hours in your program, and all of you are in the Capstone course. So obviously you have most of your hours completed. So this box should be checked. They keep track of your GPA. You need to maintain over a 3.0 GPA throughout the program. This box should be checked at the very main. If it's not checked, it's because you haven't completed the very last class of the program. So this may not be checked, but don't worry about that, because if you haven't met the 3.0 GPA requirement, the grad office would have contacted you with a letter saying you've fallen below the 3.0 threshold. So most likely this box, even if this box is not checked, you're still in good shape there. You also have the research component and thesis. This box checked because as a requirement of your degree, you're required to do a research component. That research component, as you know, was done in your data literacy class. When you did the data wall, that counted as your research component. So all of you should have that checked because you've all had the data literacy class. Applied for completion of the program, this should not be checked because that's what we're going to talk about doing today, is when you apply for graduation. So once you apply for graduation, that box will get checked saying you have actually gone through the steps to apply for graduation. Your comprehensive assessment is not checked at this time because your comprehensive assessment is the capstone that I'm going to talk about, the capstone project that you're doing in this class, and I'm going to talk about here in just a second. Major requirements, not sure what that box is. It always seems to be checked, but anyway, so don't worry about that. But when you complete your program, you'll notice that all these boxes will be checked. If some of these, my major message is that if some of these boxes are not checked, don't worry about it because they will be checked at the completion of your program once you've done everything you need to do. All right. So any questions so far? I went through that pretty quickly, but you should go check your degree audit and make sure that all the courses that you've taken up to the capstone are checked off and completed. You should be finishing up your program. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the capstone assessment. Dr. Gordon made mention of this. Of course, this is the major part of your class. A couple of things I want to talk about with this is that when you get to your capstone assessment, your final project, you need to look at your final project. It's a report. It's a report on the efforts that you've done throughout the program to address one single issue in your building. All right, one single issue. You should know at this point what that issue is. If you don't freak out about it. Dr. Gordon and Zach will help you get that figured out. But most of you should have a pretty good idea of the issue that you've been attacking and been working on throughout the program. And you're going to have an opportunity tonight to talk a little bit about that with your instructors to get some guidance on that. But you should have a pretty good control over what that issue is. Could be an issue that you talked about in your visionary school leadership class. Could be an issue you talked about in your managerial school leadership class. Could be from the relational school leadership class. But remember that you need to be hyper-focused on one issue, and that becomes the controlling issue throughout your entire assessment. Step one basically just gives an overview of what the issue is, and then asks you what it would be like if this issue is not addressed, and then asks you to give evidence that this is an actual problem in your building, that this has been a problem in your building. You need to present evidence in step one. Step two goes into the overview of your plan, the things that you did to prepare for the plan, to implement the plan, the research that went into it, the steps of communication you took around the plan. And then step three goes into the nuts and bolts of the implementation of the plan. It's how the plan was implemented is in step three. And then in step four is your reflection on either the success or failure, how, what lessons learned from going through this process, things you learned as you tried to lead to address this plan. So you need to show in your report your involvement in working with this issue. You've had some type of leadership role as you've tried to work with your principal, side by side with your principal, to address this issue. So you need to show in your assessment your leadership role that you had over the last few months or so as you've gone through the program. All right, we have given you information about the capstone assessment from the very first class that you took, and so hopefully you have a good idea of what you're going to be addressing in your report and your reflection of what you learned from working with that issue. So with that, I'm going to let Dr. Gordon and Zach talk to you all when I get done talking about certification here and graduation, but I just wanted to put in my 2 cents for that. All right. Okay. So applying for graduation, I'm going to share my screen back and forth, so you have to be patient with me a little bit here. You want to apply for graduation. If you haven't done this already, you can go and do this right away. This is the very first step. And let me say that these steps need to be completed in this order that I'm giving you. So make sure that you do one step and then you do the next step. Don't try to mix up the steps and do them in any other order but this order. All right, so you're going to click on this link. There's a link here to apply for graduation. And Dr. Gordon, I believe this information is loaded in the capstone class, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
If it's not, we'll put it in there. But this sheet that I'm showing here, all this information should be in the capstone.
Not the top part of that sheet. So,
well, not the top part, but the steps.
I think so, but I'll double check.
Yeah, double check. If it's not, then I'll give it to you and you can put it in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So you'll have access to this. You can click on the link, and when you click on that link, it'll take you to Are you seeing my screen or not? Or are you still seeing the degree audit? Hold on. It'll take you to the graduation eligibility checklist when you click on that link. You'll notice that there's, for undergraduate and graduate students, you want to click on the steps to that you need to do in order to apply for graduation. So it gives you in order everything you want to do, even ordering your cap and gown here if you want to go through graduation. Before I forget, let me state that you all are taking during the summer. There is no summer graduation anymore. That happens in December. If you want to participate in graduation ceremonies, that's in December because they no longer do a summer graduation ceremony. Also, know that in your transcripts, because a lot of people are curious about when do I get my degree issued to me. You get your degree issued to you, even though you finish the program at the end of June, you'll be granted your degree in August when the end of the summer session. So many times this is important because your HR people are asking for your degrees because you want to move over on the salary scale. Most school districts, not all school districts, but we did run into a couple of them that we're looking to work with. Most school districts will give you credit for your degree if they get information from us saying you finished the degree. So, but for most of you at this particular time, August is still okay to graduate and move over on the pay scale. Most HR departments, their deadline is after the end of August. So, but if that's an issue, contact us and we'll help you through that. You apply for graduation either through My Northwest or on CapPause, and then it has information on how to go about doing that here in this link, okay? Any questions so far before I go on about graduation? Okay.
Amy has her hand up.
Yeah, hi, sorry. I just had a question about what you were saying about the pay scale situation. So
Yep.
for our district, I work for Kansas City Public School District, and I know that we have to usually give them our certification. So how would we go about that if we're not able to email the certification? Do we need to, is there something you send us that we can send to them, or how does that work?
Give you credit for your certification, for your being certified as an administrator, or they give you degree?
I believe you have to turn all that. I think you have to turn that in saying that I'm not sure, but that's what I'm asking. If they need something like that, who do we contact to give them information that we've already graduated in?
Well, graduation is your transcript. So what I'm saying is your transcript will be available to you, but it won't be an official. Your degree will not be officially granted to you until the end of August, until the end of the second summer session. So your transcript may be a little bit. It will say that you've completed the courses, but it won't say that your degree has been granted. Does that make sense? So like on your degree audit, all these will be checked off, but yet you will not have degree issued at that particular time until the end of August. So, and what I would do is just once that happens at the end of August, you Kansas City, Missouri, or any of you, your school district, give them a copy of your official transcript, and that should do it. That's what.
Okay, I understand that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So you've applied for graduation. Do that now. Don't have to wait on that. Okay. Then you want to complete, of course, the second step is to complete your degree. That's important. And so of course, you're all going to be doing that because you're taking this course. You're at the end of your program. You're going to get your degree. So you get your degree. And then, like Dr. Gordon had alluded to, you want to save your comprehensive assessment. That's a 4-part capstone project that you're working on right now in your class. And you want to save it in a PDF file. And you want to hold on to that. Okay, don't save it in Canvas because you may not have access to Canvas once you graduate. And some of you may want to wait a while to get certified. I want to just take a few moments and encourage you to get certified as quickly as you possibly can at the end of the program, because if you wait, things are changing. Things are going to be different. You never know what DESE will do. They move the goalpost a lot of times on certification issues. So make sure that you go through this 7-step process to get certified as quickly as you possibly can. All right. So that's a requirement for the state for certification is you need to finish a degree program in the state of Missouri, and that comprehensive assessment, we'll talk more about that in a second, but right then when you reach the end of this course, you want a good PDF version that you hand in at the end of the course. You want to hold on to that in a separate file so you have access to that, so you don't lose that, because that would be bad if you lost your PDF file of your final assessment. The third step is to verify that you have a valid teaching certificate in the state of Missouri because you are going for Missouri certification, and you have at least 3 years of teaching experience. This has just recently changed. I talked about the goalpost moving. Used to be that you needed 2 years of teaching experience to be certified as administrator in the state of Missouri. They now moved that to 3 years. So if you have less than 3 years of teaching experience in the state of Missouri, it's okay. You can still go through all this process. You just have to wait for step 7, and do not do step 7 until you have reached 3 years of service as a teacher. You can do all the other 6 steps up until that point. It's just you can't do 7 until you've had 3 years of teaching experience. All right. Any questions about that? Some of you may be in other states. Know that Missouri, if you should get certified in the state of Missouri, it may require you to transfer your teaching certificate to the state of Missouri. That's very easy to do. You just pay a fee, and Missouri has a reciprocal agreement with most states that a valid teaching certificate in another state will count as a valid teaching certificate in the state of Missouri. But you must hold a valid teaching certificate in the state of Missouri in order to be certified in Missouri. Your 3 years of teaching experience can be verified, does not have to be in the state of Missouri, by the way, just to make that clear. The 3 years of teaching is any teaching anywhere. Doesn't have to be in the state of Missouri. Okay, so you've gone through the 3 steps, you've completed the program, you've gone through the steps of getting certified, making sure you have a valid teaching certificate in the state of Missouri. Then the 4th thing you want to do is you want to sign up for the content assessment from Pearson. This is test 072. Know that it says it's changing to 080 in January. That should say actually they are delaying that. It's going to change August, in the 1st of August. It's going to change to 080. These 2 tests, the 072 is a 80 question multiple choice test. 080 is 100 questions. So it's going to get a little bit harder once they move to 080 in August. So be prepared for that. I recommend that most of you can go right now and sign up for the 072 test and take it before the 1st of August, and you're good to go. Even most of you will be done way before the end of the 1st of August, so you'll be ready to take that test. This is what it looks like. When you click on that link, it'll take you out to the Pearson, to the Missouri Educator Gateway Assessments. This is Building Level Leader 072. You want to sign up for this test. I recommend that you click on preparation materials and you take and buy the $30 preparation materials that are available to you to give you an idea of how to do the test. There's also test taking strategies. There's some sample multiple choice questions. Those are very good to look at because they let you practice. There's a practice test that you can buy for $30 that helps you even expand on that farther. It gives you much more chances to practice the questions. The questions can be tricky. They try to trick you with the test, meaning that when you take it, a lot of those answers look good. You really have to kind of weed through the answers to make sure that you have the correct answer. So I suggest you buy the practice materials. Our success rate on this test has been fantastic. I would say probably 95% of people pass this test on the very first time they take it. But those people have also bought the preparation materials. Okay. So you want to do that. This step 4 is to go out and get the
David, Amy
Yes.
had a question. She asked, how long is this test for? How long is a test result valid for?
Forever. Good question. Once you take the test, you pass the content assessment. Even though it changes to 080, it's still valid. They grandfather you in. You just need to make sure you've passed the content assessment in order to become certified. Whether it's 072 or 080 doesn't matter. Some people took a content assessment a long time ago. It never expires. Once you pass it, you've passed it. So you've checked that box off for DESE. All right. So you don't need to. So I encourage everybody to go out and get 072 before it goes to 080 because you're going to want to take the easier test. All right. All right. Here's the big one. Number 5. Once you've passed the content assessment, not before, not during, but after. After you've passed, once you've passed the content assessment, then you can send me the PDF of your performance assessment you're doing in this class for a second read. And you send that to me. I'm the keeper of the second reads. And then I distribute them out for somebody to do this for it to be evaluated. All right. So once again, I'm going to emphasize this again. Do not send me your performance assessment that you're doing in this class. Do not do it until after you pass the content assessment. Once you pass the content assessment, then please, yes, go send me the PDF of your file. And please tell me, this is really important. Tell me when you send me the second performance, when you send me your PDF of your performance assessment, tell me in the email that you passed the content assessment. Because people say, here it is for my second read. Then I have to go back to them and say, have you passed your content assessment or not? Because we don't evaluate it until you actually pass the content assessment. All right, so I'll emphasize that please make sure you do the content assessment before sending in your performance assessment for a second read. Once you've passed the content assessment, step 6 is done when you send me your performance assessment for a second read. You also need to go at the MPEA and pay $25 for use of the assessment. All right. And when you click on that link, it's going to look like this. It takes you to the MPEA site. This is the website. And here this says performance assessment registration. You click on that. And this lets you sign up and send the $25 to MPEA for the use of the performance assessment. You cannot be certified until you pay MPEA for the second read. All right. If you never get a second read, maybe you're not going for certification. If you're not going for certification, you don't need to have a second read of your performance assessment. But if you want to become certified, you have to pay $25 in order to make use of that second read of your performance assessment. Okay. We'll go back to the last step. That's step 6. And then in step 7, once you have paid MPEA the $25, then you also want to go out to the DESE website, to the certification portal, and apply through DESE for certification. Only after you have completed all of these 6 steps. Then you can apply for certification. The way this works is that certification is handled through DESE, the Department of Education. Once DESE gets your application, they send a note to our certification officer and they say, this person has applied for certification. Have they done everything they need to do to be certified in the state of Missouri? They ask that question to our certification officer. Our certification officer looks at everything you've done to make sure you've done all these steps. And then they will go back to DESE and say, yes, this person is good to go for certification. So certify them. If you call DESE and they say, what's going on with my certification? All they're going to say to you is, you need to contact your certification officer at your university because they have that information. So don't call DESE asking about certification questions. You just complete these 7 steps. And then if you have anything, once you complete step 7, if our certification officer sees that you're missing something, then she's going to communicate to you and say, hey, I need this from you before you can become certified. I hope that makes sense. Don't bother DESE about your certification because they're just going to send you to Northwest.
David, you have some questions in the chat. Do you see them?
All right. Well, I don't see them, so go ahead and what are they?
Well, the first one asked about the $25. Now that $25 is for the second read.
Correct.
This course is all about the first read.
Yes.
I'm the first reader.
Zach is the first reader.
Yeah, Zach's the first reader. And so the $25 is when you have all the steps done and you want the second read when you are ready to ask for certification.
If you never get certified, you don't have to worry about the second read. You don't have to worry about the content assessment. You don't have to worry about any of this. If you don't want to be certified, you just want the degree, that's fine. You don't have to follow any of these. This is just for certification in the state of Missouri.
And Roger, I don't know that I understood your question. You want to take another shot at it?
You guys already answered the question. Actually, I was just wondering which exam we would be like, which section. But you're saying that the capstone would be submitted for a second read to MPEA for certification.
Yes,
The,
yeah, the actual assessment itself does not go to MPA, it goes to me. We grade it in-house for the second, we do the second read in-house, but your money goes to MPEA. So you're sending money to MPEA, but you're sending me you're sending me a PDF of your performance assessment for the second read.
Okay, great. And also one more thing that I had said was, where can we access this document that we're looking at?
Hold on one second.
Roger, I don't know that, as I'm thinking about it, I made a note. I need to check in the course site, see if I have that published.
Okay.
If I don't have the 1 through 7 steps visible in our course site, I'll get it from Dr. Kiene and I'll dump it in the course site.
Okay. I'm sorry, my phone kept going off here. Roger, what was your question again?
He was asking about where does he see these steps 1 through 7? And I'm not sure, because I'm not trying to mess with the course site at the moment. I need to go in the course site and see if I've failed to, there's another thing I failed to hit earlier. I failed to publish. And so once in a while I haven't hit publish on something and y'all can't see it yet. So I need to go in and see. But David, I don't know that I have, because you're referencing this August, and I'm not sure that you and I have communicated about this last bit about so to be on the safe side, if you can send me a page of the steps 1 through 7, and I'll cut and paste them into the course site.
You have it in your email now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Urban legend. There's the urban legend that once you become certified and you don't get a principal's job, your certification expires. Okay. That's not correct. That's just an urban legend. Your certification will be there for you when you get your first job as an administrator. It could be 15 years from now, but your certification will still be there for you. What happens is if you don't get a job within 3 years of becoming certified, your certification goes dormant. It just goes, it just goes dormant. So let's say 15 years from now, you've gone through all the steps right now to get certified. You're certified for those 15 years. It goes dormant. You just call DESE, say, turn on my certification. They turn on your certification and you're good to go. Okay, you've done everything you need to do. So it does not expire. Where that comes from is the idea that once you become a practicing principal or assistant principal, then the clock starts on you getting a higher degree or going from an initial certification to a transitional certification. So you have 10 years to get a degree to get you to that transitional certification from the initial certification. So if you wait 10 years and you never get a specialist degree or a doctorate, or complete some steps that they have at DESE for you to gain that transitional certification, then you're booted out. Your certification goes away. So keep that in mind. That doesn't happen very often because most people know that when they get their job, they have 10 years to get that higher degree and move to the transitional certification. So do not think that your certification expires or goes away. It doesn't. So many people in the past have waited to get certified until they find a job that they want to go for. Don't do that. Get certified. If you want to get certified, do it right away. All right. Some of you are out of state. But my recommendation for you is we've said it from the very beginning of the program. The qualifications or requirements in your individual state, if you're not in the state of Missouri, is up to you. You need to communicate with your state Department of Education and say you completed this program. What do you need to do in that state to get certified? Like Nebraska has you pass a different content assessment. So if you're in Nebraska, you don't really have to pass our content assessment. You have to pass their content assessment if you want initial certification in the state of Nebraska. My recommendation to all of you is get certified in the state of Missouri first, do everything you need to do there, because they have a reciprocal agreement with most of the states around them, with the exception of Iowa. If you're in Iowa, that's a different story. So let me ask, is anybody out there from Iowa? Okay, nobody from Iowa, that's fine. So if you are from Iowa and you're watching this recording, contact me and I will tell you what you need to do for Iowa. Iowa's a little bit more complicated than the other states as far as getting certified. So if you're from Iowa, please communicate with me and I'll be happy to talk to you about how to get certified over the phone in the state of Iowa using your Missouri certification. But even if you are from Iowa, you want to get the Missouri certification first. All right. I know that's a lot of information and I know I've been talking for a long time and I apologize, but this is very important information to get out to you guys so that you are squared away on what you need to do in order to get certified. So any questions you have before I go away and let Dr. Gordon take over? Yes, Amy.
Sorry, I just had a question about, so basically if you are, okay, so I'm in year 2, I'm going to be in year 3 this upcoming year. I switched professions and came into this late in the game. So should I go ahead and do all these things first, you
Yes.
recommend? And then once I get to step 7 after year 3, then I can go ahead, just get it out of the way?
You do steps 1 through 6, hold off on 7 until you've got that 3rd year under your belt. Completed.
Okay, and then my other question was, did you say that you have to get basically your doctorate or your ed specialist in order to stay in administration after 10 years?
Yes.
Or you get booted out, so that's a must do?
That's a must
Okay,
do.
I wanted to make
I
sure
will
that I had
say
that
this.
written out correctly.
Just recently, it was either a doctorate or a specialist degree, a higher degree. Missouri has actually changed this now. They've added some independent treatments, a set of 15 treatments that you can do over that 10-year period of time in lieu of getting a higher degree. You don't need to get a specialist degree or a doctorate anymore, but you would have to do these 15 treatments they have for you that are independent that DESE has agreed to use. If you do those treatments, then you can get that transitional certification. Does that make sense? So there is now a third path. You don't have to get a doctorate, don't have to get a specialist, but you have to complete these 15 treatments.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. I'm not getting any younger, so I
No,
just want to make sure.
10 years. Once you get the job, once you get your first job, you're on the clock. The clock starts ticking.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, Dr. Gordon, I'm going to send it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Kiene. Questions about the course in general? Does anybody have?
I'm gonna take off. So.
Okay, thank you, David.
All right, thank you.
Good night, thank you.
Oh, and you want to probably make me. You want to make yourself host before I leave too.
Okay, let me do that. Hate for you to leave with all the power.
Yeah, I can't.
Thank you for the information. It was very helpful. I appreciate it. I'm glad I
Sure.
came.
And like I'll say, one last thing I'll say is that if you have questions, please contact me. That's fine. It's just hopefully they're not questions of information I've just covered. You know, like the thing that frustrates me the most, quite frankly, is when I get people sending me their performance assessment for a second read and they haven't completed the content assessment yet. It's very frustrating because that's a lot of. Then I have to go back and hold on to the performance assessment, and I have to go back and ask them, find out when they're going to complete their content assessment. So it just makes a much simpler process if you take the content assessment, pass the content assessment, then send me the PDF for the second read. Okay. Thank you.
Before we start, Dan, I just want to, Amy, kind of to your point of the higher ed degree going up. I think the reason why MPEA did that third option was because they did that recognizing some people never want to become district administrators. And most districts in the state of Missouri, if you want to be a district administrator, you have to either have a specialist or a doctoral degree. And so they recognize some people don't want to go into district level ed leadership. So that's why they added that third option as well.
Thank you, Zach.
That makes sense. Thank you.
somebody raised their hand, but my mind went to the next step. Somebody has a question.
I can wait. I'm gonna listen first. Sorry.
Okay, okay. Other questions? It's not loaded. And really, folks, Zach and I can host another Zoom next week, or these are easy to do. It's kind of nice to see people's faces. So Melanie, do you have a question that just pertains to you or to the whole, or how can we help you?
Okay, so I had a couple of questions. How many hours are required for this course? Because I saw a couple of different numbers for the log.
Hours required for,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, but it's not,
Are you going for, I believe it's different now because you have K through 12 certification and you need certain amount of hours in primary and secondary.
yes, that is true. That is true.
So most of the other classes I've filled out like a log, and 5 hours of it has been in secondary and all the rest of them have been in elementary. So I'm just wondering how many hours are required for this course to make sure that I get the hours that I need. Does that make sense?
I can answer it this way. I know
Okay.
that in my managerial class,
Uh-huh.
when I have people do the safety audit, I make them do the safety audit in a grade level different than their grade level.
Correct.
Okay. There is not that concept in this class.
Okay.
Okay, so I would say that if you need more hours in your secondary level, in your minor level,
Okay.
okay, then find ways to log it that way. This class spends very heavily around the capstone, the performance assessment. So it doesn't quite have the practicum level as some of the other classes. I am bumbling your answer, I know. So
do we need to fill out a practicum log for this class?
yeah, we do it for every class.
Right. So how many hours should be on that? There's not a requirement for this class like there has been for the other ones?
No, there's
Okay.
not. There's not. This class is different because it is your capstone class. This one's a little bit different. Again, I keep referring to the managerial class because I'm kind of the keeper of the flame of the managerial. That class is, the whole thing is practicum. Practical activities and that kind of stuff. This one is different. A little bit more of a summative concept.
I'll say for this, to jump on that, you are going to be constantly talking with your building leadership,
Yeah,
whether
good
that
point.
be principals or instructional coaches, because you're going to try and fit all these pieces. All of those communication points, log those,
Yes.
whether that be email or 30 minutes at the end of the day. Those will add up because they're going to be very crucial to helping you put this portfolio together.
Good point. Good point. Zach, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're working together.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. All right. A little bit of wait time now. Okay, I tell you what I will do then. I'll stop recording as people get off of the Zoom call. Zach and I will be the last people to check out. So if anybody has a question that only pertains to them, to be completely honest, I have another Zoom conference class at 7. So my time's I didn't leave enough time for this, but we will make sure that all your questions are addressed. We won't leave anybody hanging. So I'm going to stop recording now.